Yes, here we go. It's the T.N.F, the night we give the keys to the passengers and they take over the show. Join tonight's star-studded lineup. The judge is back. It's been a couple of weeks since you've last been on, Mark, but you're back in business on your staple show, the T.N.F. How are things, mate?
I'm doing very well, mate. I've missed it. It's been about 2 weeks since the last time I was on, and I must admit I've had itchy feet for about a week now. But I'm here. I'm back. I'm here with my mad, crazy opinions. So bring it on.
Bring it on, indeed. David Logs, the face of the Sunday Blether, joins us as well. What's happening, Sen? Just back from Florida. Good time. You know, a
It
bit
was
jet
good.
lagged or that, no?
Nah, I'm fine actually. Given what I was annoyed with you guys though, because you decided to take a break when I was away. I was like, what am I going to listen to what am I going to listen to while I'm out there? I was like, you bastards! You should give it a heads up. But no, it was a good holiday, and no, I'm not too jet lagged. I'm all right. I'm all good. Happy
Good
days.
stuff, mate. I loved the photos in that, mate. Florida's fucking amazing, man. Took me
It's
back. I was there.
wild, man. So
Like
hot,
Celtic when I was young.
so hot, man. It's nice to not just sweat just by existing. Like it's nice to just sweat, but it's like you walk out and you just start sweating, and I'm like, but it was good. The rides are mental. Some of the rides are
Brilliant,
mad, but it's good fun.
brilliant, mate. Brilliant. And look at the other man who is permanently across the Atlantic, but he's not been on in about a month. Feels like years since I've seen you, Liam. What's been happening, mate? It's all been happening with you, hasn't it?
Oh, I'm still staying out far too late with far too young people for a man of my age should be doing, you know.
I love it.
No getting it up. I'm playing shit. Still flying some art. And I did try to squeeze in some work in between. So that's all right. It was good. Missed the Celtic. We're finally getting the pub open this week. So we'll be watching the Wolves game. So other boys will be getting together as well. And just like this, it's like first day of school coming back, you know, seeing all your pals again.
I love it, mate. I love it. And rock and roll will never die with the punked up warlord is around. Right, enough of that shite. Let's get on with it. We'll do all that good stuff. Give us a like, give us a share, slag the hair. If you want to become a Boise Bass member, like 420 somewhere, like Alistair Jack, like Phil McGinley, like Jim C, Gary Patterson, Margaret, we'll just say Margaret, like Edward Kerr, Teresa Lyle, photo, not seen you in ages, Stevie Kenny, and so many more, Patrick McLaughlin, etc., etc. It's $1.99 a month, totally optional. The content will always be free on this bus. Remember piesports.com as well, 12.5% tasty discount at the checkout. No blue pills to promote, so we'll crack on with the show. Mark, we'll come at you first, mate. We will be taking points, by the way, so start getting your points in. I'll start starring the comments, guys, because obviously the T.N.F is one where we always discuss what you want to discuss as opposed to the agenda, if you like, or whatever it is you'd fucking want to call it, the script. I don't know. As you know, I don't take any fucking notes anyway. But Mark, I'll come at you first because I know, obviously, in the live chat, you were quite lively on Monday with your usual strong opinions, and in the group chat on the WhatsApp as well, with a slightly different take than I've been doing on the bus so far. And I think it's important that we get both sides to every debate. That's what this bus is all about. I'm not one who wants people coming on who fucking, Boise said it, so I agree with him. It's the last thing I want. And I know you're far from that and always have been. So your views on the summer transfer window I want to take, because for me, just to repeat, I'm very zen. I don't think the big business would have been done by now. I don't know what's changed the opinion of many, but it does feel in my mind that your point of view has shifted from the excitement of when Rodgers took over to now a dark cloud hanging over what you think will be the same movie you've seen many a time before. I'm only talking about the transfer aspect, by the way. I know you're buzzing about Rodgers as much as I am. Let's get your take on it, big man.
I am buzzing about Rodgers coming back, and I actually agree with your philosophy in terms of I think the best business does get done at the end of the window because the better players they have more options. It only stands to reason that they're going to be discussing their options to probably the very last minute because it could be the small decision between an extra 5-10 grand a week, you know what I mean, which adds up in a 3-year contract. So I'm totally on board with that theory. I would never doubt that mindset of an agent or a player at all. I think that's totally viable to suggest that's the case. My worry or concern is the Celtic aren't looking at their players. Aren't looking like their players who would be waiting till the last 48 hours, okay? And that's no me. I know it's quite easy just to suggest that I could be negative, which I can be at the best of times, but do you know what? It was really it was really boiling my blood a wee bit on, especially on Twitter, because it's the only kind of reference point I've got with the Celtic support all in the matches is that people are telling folk how they should be behaving at this time in the window and how we should be calm and doing and all the rest of it. I've not said too much about my disgust. I think I've actually held back a wee bit, but I just think that the club or the board, I think my theory that Celtic are just not going to change the status quo is based on, in my opinion, decades the same old story. Money in the bank, no willing to spend. And I think if you're in a mind space where you are hoping and just hoping this is the season to do it, I'm delighted for people to believe that. You know what I mean? It's shown faith, but in my opinion, the folk like myself who are beginning to just question, is this the year that Celtic actually do it? I think they're more founded in their opinion than just blind faith. And on that note, I think folk telling them to calm down should take a step back and just say their opinions are valid also, you know what I mean? And it's just been the last couple of days, it's really got to me, boys, and I've just seen a couple of folks.
What's led to it, Mark? What's led to it? What would you say has led to it? Because I would have thought, and I don't want to speak for you, I was under the impression that you were maybe more on the thought of like he wouldn't have took that job without the said assurances when he got it. So what is it that's changed this summer that's kind of brought you back to the same movie thing? Because it feels like something must have happened to trigger that change. You know what
I mean, one thing I've said to Brendan Rodgers, and I think you referenced it last week there, that I think he's very meticulous in what he says, and I think he said in one of his written press interviews last week that he said that the narrative is I wouldn't have came back unless I had assurances. That is so far from the truth. It's unbelievable. This is his own words. He said, I didn't seek assurances. In fact, I'm more aware of the landscape Celtic are in now than I was in 2016. That tells me that he knows the waters he's swimming in. And he also referenced the price tags under Kieran Tierney speculation, albeit that could be a loan move. And he also mentioned the fact that Celtic are a £2-3 million player club, unless bigger players come in. You know what I mean? Bigger. If you can get a £4 million defender like for the boy for Poland, and he's a class act, bring him in. But I don't think Celtic habitually go their way to spend £5-6 million in players. I think the fact that we're still not broke our own record for Edouard, and we're still not broke Rangers' record for 23 years ago. It just, and we've got all that money in the bank. I don't know. I just feel like Celtic are. I think Celtic would be the only club to be took over by a Saudi Arabian prince and no spend the money. That is my genuine belief. We'd be the first team not to spend 100 billion. We would go to £10 million players rather than 100 million. We'd be the next Man City, but without the money. I don't think we would spend it. And I know it sounds negative now that I've wanted my wee rant, but I just don't know. I hope I'm wrong, but I just think based on history, I just can't see a £10 million player coming in, boys. I hope I'm wrong. I agree with your principle because the best players do take time to get, but I just don't see any. In fact, I know the league season starts next week and there's an extra month to go, but I was just kind of expecting Celtic would have made a dent into that first 11 before the first game of the window, first game of the season. That's all I was kind of hoping for. But Brendan Rodgers, I think he'll win trebles and doubles and in spite of Celtic's transfer policy, no because of it.
Well put. I think it's a fair debate to have, David. Obviously, Mark's very much in the camp where he is. He's defaulted to almost think that and conditioned to think that because of previous experience, mate. You know, I would be lying to you if I didn't say at this time last year, Me and the judge, David, had debates at length. Just Jews, I remember doing a couple of Thursdays, just me and Mark, and we spoke at length because we were like, we could just have a wee deeper dive into Celtic's transfer strategy and what the fuck has been wrong with it for so long. And to be honest, Mark's still been consistent from last summer as to what he is now. I'm very much, my whole dynamic and thinking of Celtic has completely changed because I just don't get the Rodgers thing if something hasn't changed at Celtic. My body of evidence, I would say, to counter it would be, David, that there has been a shift in terms of they're paying Rodgers more than they paid him last time. I know I like to quip the best paid manager since Rodgers, but nonetheless, whether it was Rodgers or anyone else, they've pushed the boat out to get in an elite manager from the who just left the EPL 2 months prior. They broke their wage structure for the first time since fucking Henrik. It's reported someone's on over £40,000 a week at Celtic Park right now. Again, that would tell you there maybe has been a bit of a change. And then I go back to, well, what I always thought was, if we were to be getting that next level, I would never have expected it before now anyway. I do hear points of views, and it's hard to disagree with why he puts them out there. Where do you sit on the future of this window? You know, what's going forward? There's 4.5 weeks left. Where do you see Celtic's direction of travel taking them?
It's such a difficult one to try and get through because when you sit back in the group chat and watch the two sides of the fence in the wee debate that we have between Mark's point and maybe your point, that I could see, well, that's a great point Mark's made, and then you go,
always respectful debates in the Boise Bus WhatsApp group chat, may I add, ladies and gentlemen.
Discord.
No Discord nonsense, do you know what I mean? No, like, wee profile pictures getting shared by any wee 20-minute fannies or anything like that. You know
I'm sharing your profile pictures all the time. I use it for Tinder. Anyway. No, like, it's because you're right in what you're saying. Like, Rodgers coming back again. Now, let's look at it this way. The transfer market and landscape has always been a difficult one for us, right? And it's just become even harder now that a backwater league like the Saudi can just blow English Premier League teams out of the water now. Yeah. We were dealing with having to get guys to come over and play teams like Ross County for buttons rather than going to play for Bournemouth. And now you've got, you could go to Bournemouth and make a decent money, or you can go play in the Saudi League and make life-changing money. It's become a much more difficult one to try and swim against. And when you see Rodgers, like you said, boys, there had to be something that's changed, because there's no way Rodgers isn't going to be getting offered a job in Saudi if he decided not to take the Celtic job. He's getting offered to go there. Steven Gerrard's getting to go out to Saudi. I'm sure Frank Lampard will be next. A manager of Rodgers will be getting offered a job to Saudi. But I
think it's almost a guarantee. He's been approached for a potential move to Saudi, but since he's left Leicester, I think that would almost be impossible that he wouldn't have been.
Now, when you look at the transfers that we've made already, and I say Andrew's still in charge, I think the guys are still coming in, and as a fan base, Mark excluded from this, a lot of people would say, look, if Ange wants to sign him, he's got to be good, and Ange we trust, all that patter. But because Rodgers come in and as fans, our imaginations begin to run wild on the possibilities of who he could attract to come and play for us, these players now become a bit almost underwhelming. And the players that we were being linked with, like, well, Tetes, and we can maybe even get Tielemans, or you can get Ndidi, or we'll get this guy or this guy. Even us as well, we're like, McTominay's not a bad shout until Man United slap a £40 million transfer fee on a guy like McTominay. It suddenly becomes I almost think that Rodgers has a better chance of convincing our best players to stay for Celtic than Rodgers has of convincing your 5 to 7 million EPL Championship players that we know of, that we like the look of, to come and play for Celtic. I think he's done a really good job of getting the likes of Kyogo to sign up. I'm hoping we'll see Cameron Carter-Vickers get a sign up. Obviously, Callum McGregor, he's always going to be on board, but he's signed up again. Maeda, you can say what you want, whether you like him or not. You know, he's managed to convince him to stay on, and already looks like he's rejuvenated under a new manager, under a new position. it just becomes a little bit disheartening when you start to go, well, where's these guys that we're being linked with this guy, and it doesn't even look like it looks such a stretch to even get them in. And I think that's what's making maybe fans forget to get itchy feet. But like you said, Boise, these guys that are that better, that more of an upgraded player that we want to attract, if we want them and we think they're going to improve our club significantly, well then so are other clubs, and they're going to have more offers on the table. Is the guy, is it Yang and the other Korean guy, have they got a long list of Premier League options and Saudi team options and even Championship options? No, they don't, because they're not looking at that market. So I'm not saying they got we'll just go to Celtic because that's all that's on offer. But those guys seem to be a much more easier targets than the likes of like Ndidi's, I'm just using a name that we've been linked with, or the Croatian goalkeeper. Now, if he signs, Mark, you will have to get used to us having another Croatian international. But time will tell if these guys do come in. Like you said, 4 weeks. 4 weeks. I'm not getting too itchy feet yet. I'm trying to be patient, but I can totally understand why people are starting to go, right, what's going on here.
Yeah, I get that as well. I think you brought a bit of balance to that, David, and that's absolutely fair. As always, we want to have both sides of the coin discussed on the bus. I'll re-emphasise that. It's not about echo chambers or any of that patter. It's about definitely looking into different prisms. Liam, we come to you next. Now, when it comes to seeing movies of Celtic, you've seen a fair few, mate, of ups and downs and colourful ones in between. This summer started, I said it was the summer of madness, I think, at first, and then I turned it into the summer of love. But it was absolute chaos when you look back. Like, a treble-winning manager goes to, and I think directly from Celtic, the biggest move we've seen a manager directly do from Celtic, in situ at Celtic, to then going directly without a break in their career or a sideways step first, straight to what would be classed as a top 6 side in England. I don't think we've got a history of that. That in itself is quite mad, considering they got 2 points in the Champions League last year in a Diddy group. But what you would also have to add to it, can't resist. What you'd also have to add to it is then Brendan coming back. The one guy, like, nobody would have seen coming. I predicted he'd be back at Celtic. Yes, I did. I can't deny that. But not this summer. If you told me it would be this summer it would happen, I'd have went, fucking impossible. Do you know what I mean? It started with madness. Celtic did get their shit together a wee bit as well, though, in securing the likes of their captain on what we understand is maybe wage ceiling breaking sort of wages. And then obviously retained a talisman, Kyogo, the fans, apple of the fans' eye. We then got, for the first time, when we've sold the first team regular, since the Ange team was sort of built, we got a far more reflective market value for them, shall we say. And I don't think we got that with Giakoumakis and Juranovic. These are all positives to me. We've then, Rodgers, not being petty, not being bitter about it, has let Celtic get on with signing the guys they had on said list that they've always done. And that, whether that be a what was his name before? Was it Baco or something? I can't mind his name now, and Schwed, all these sort of guys. What was his name? Bio. Baco, what am I talking about? Bio, Schweds, etc. And that became obviously something that began to test the patience of Brendan before. Whereas now he's embraced that we get on with our business. The club has lists. They scour countries where they can be the big fish in the smaller pond, as it were, and go get those sort of players. We've not really yet seen what Brendan's idea of improving the first team are. We're playing a wee bit of musical chairs there in Canada. I love that, Liam. Well, just keep me on it. The Celtic board, mate. Liam, it has been a wild summer so far. Are you in the still pretty zen camp right now, or are you getting a wee bit agitated and a wee bit itchy feet as well?
I'm getting itchy. Do you know why? Because you're sitting on that pile of cash for the first time in ages. We've had a surplus that we all know about. There's no excuses not to go out and spend that money. And right now, if you look at everything Celtic fans put into this club over the years, that season where nobody could go to the games, but you guys were all still buying season tickets. That blows my mind. So you want something back. We want to see a marquee signing. We want box office. We're watching them up the road signing guys, 6 million here, 6 million. I'm not saying we're copying them, but I think as a support, aye, throw us one, throw us a carrot, keep everybody on side, keep everybody unhappy, keep this good thing going, and let us know their intentions aren't to just sort of like, let's see if we can scrape past them, you know, because we'll get to it later. You know, I don't think Rangers are going to be our biggest problem this year. It's not going to be referees and stuff, but you know, but so I think I want to see a box office signing. I want to see a name come in, and as David said, I'm sure the Korean boys, the Australian boy, the Scandinavian kid that came in, I'm sure they're all really good players. And if it was their Ange signings, I think they would have came with a bit more of a pedigree in that as well, and a bit more of an introduction. Oh, I scouted this guy in the, you know, in the Korean league or that, and so as David says, Ange we trust, right? But but Rodgers, it's more than trust. It's like, come on, mate, throw us something. You know what we want. You know what we like. Throw us a player somebody's heard of. You know, no let McCarthy at the end of his, career. Give us somebody right now of value because we can afford it. So, again, show some creativity, and Celtic show some imagination. That's what's always missing.
Jump over the moon. Remember that wee song?
What's that?
Mr. Boone.
I don't know why I just had to say that.
Use your imagination over the moon. Aye, I remember that, Mark.
That was brilliant. And there was a real spaceship. Not a lot of folk know that.
He was a one-man band, wasn't he?
It was, yes. It was, aye.
Aye, Mr. Boone.
He was actually in space, do you know that? That's a fact. It was a BBC studio or it, mate. It was in space.
No. I know. Do you know what it used to though? Like we used to get like allocated at school like TV time to go and watch that in the TV room, and I was like, not being funny hearing that, but this is a fucking insult to my intelligence, and I'm only fucking 7 years old. Do you know what I mean? Like,
we used to go outside. We used to go outside and walk past the window, then go back in again.
Yeah, I didn't know what school you went to, Mark, but that never happened to me either. Aye, Mr. Boone, man. Good memory, mate. Good memory. I like that. Aye, you throw me off course now. But yes, I understand where Liam's coming from in the sense that we want to show some imagination, Mark. I still think the imagination station is fully being embraced by Brendan. I just think we call him meticulous. We call him so detailed in his thought process. We all love these traits about him. Why wouldn't he be doing the same in the window and going, look, maybe we just need to let situations play out. However, as we said at the top of the show, this is the show for the passengers. Get your points in now. We will start discussing them. Celtic came in already and she actually directed this one at you, Judge. So I will go straight to you. Do you think we will bring in another goalkeeper? There's a lot of links right now that fans are getting giddy about. Obviously, it's because it's Croatian international and Livakovic. £9 million fee, something like that, bandied about. But I think in this day and age, for a top-class international goalkeeper, wouldn't be an outlay, particularly when you consider what Liam's saying about the cash reserves that we've actually got this time around. It's a position I know you've been very happy with, Joe. I would say I've been more than content with him. Content would almost be a bit insulting. I've been more than content with him, but not blown away either. Do you think, would I identify that position as one we could improve? Absolutely. Do I think the Livakovic would be an upgrade? I do. Whether it's him or not, do you think it'll be a position identified by Brendan?
I think it will be, mate. But I think it's one that could wait till January. It depends on your outlook on it. If you think Celtic can wait till January and you feel it could be a position, the part that Celtic could come unstuck, especially in Europe, then you have to upgrade. I've been Joe Hart's biggest fan for a long time, but even I've got to admit that the guy needs some stiff competition. I don't mean a Scott Bain or Seagrass who passes the ball behind defenders and puts them under pressure when you try to play it for the back. We need somebody who's going to give him stiff competition. I think if you're being serious with Europe, I think you've got to no level up. I think you've got to go above Joe Hart, mate. You've got to bring in somebody. This Croatian guy, and I know that he had a great World Cup, but his career, I don't know much about it. I'd be lying if I said he had a cracking shot stopping percentage and a lot of clean sheets. So I want to see more about him before I would spend 10 million. I'm pretty sure Brendan Rodgers and Steve Woods would do that. But I don't think we have to necessarily go as far as that. I think, see your keepers that can play it for the back, you're talking £20 million for them now. It's no the new thing now, boys. It's almost become like standard thing for keepers now, where you're going to be a football player.
Par for the course.
It's par for the course, mate. So I think you can find them out there. But what Celtic might need to do is what they do for most of the players in the park is buy a project, but somebody who's just one level off being first team ready. And if that means giving Joe Hart another full season in the Celtic goals, I don't think that's dramatic. I don't think that would derail the championship or derail Celtic's title aspirations, because don't forget, if Europe is your thing, and I think we've all kind of got to get behind the team this season in Europe. This season is a £60 million Scottish Premiership, boys, and that's minimum. You get to in the top 16 or whatever it is, you've got another guaranteed 2 games. You're getting £60 million, guaranteed 8. You're going to have 8 games guaranteed, potentially 10 games just for getting to the playoff round. So you're talking a quarter of your season's got to be played in the Champions League format. It's a lot of money. You're talking between 60 and 80 million pounds. This is the most crucial championship we've had in a long time at Celtic, because we win this and we go far off in the distance in front of the Rangers. Rangers win it and you let them back in again, and it's new parity. So I think the money and offer on
Would
this
you wait
season.
to January then for the keeper?
This is the thing. I don't think he would derail Celtic's championship. But I think if you want to make an impact in Europe this season, do I think Joe Hart can pull off saves in Europe? Definitely. But I do think he's also capable of doing a few clangers, boys, and we've seen it. There was a game last season where Celtic ended up losing a couple of goals, but he played one of the best European. In fact, it was his first season. He put off about 7 or 8 fantastic saves. Then ended up losing the game 3 or 4-1. I can't remember what game it was, and that was probably his best European performance for me. And they've been few and far between. He's not had many big. Joe Hart's not made many big saves at Celtic. He pulled off a couple of cracking ones at Celtic Park against AZ Alkmaar. And at the time, we were all like saying, this is what you get when you buy an old England keeper. This is the level you get. But he's not had very many big saves and big matches. And I think that's what goes against him, that there's no many big moments for him. You know what I mean? But Celtic keepers don't always have the moments. For Celtic to find a keeper who can sit and not do anything for 80 minutes and pull off a class act save, they're few and far between. Boric and Fraser Forster aside, we've struggled for a long time for goalkeepers. And Joe Hart, for me, has ticked the box. And if you're wanting to get to Celtic to the next level, that requires an upgrade. But if you're just wanting to secure the league title this season, I don't think Joe Hart's somebody who would derail that, mate. I think he's, for me, I don't think it'd be the first area that I'd improve. I would start looking at the strikers for now, and maybe CDM. I know we've brought in that boy Kwon and Awata, but I'm not entirely sure where we fit that in with the system. I think I still look for a player there before I look at a keeper.
David, there will be no. You're absolutely fair to it, mate. David, I think there'll be a lot of people though in the camp that Shell is, where you're suggesting that the goalkeeper would be a priority position to target. Where do you sit with that?
I think it's a priority as well. I've been a big fan of Joe Hart since the minute that we were linked with him. I was quite happy to see him coming in. The guy's a former Golden Glove winner, Premier League, won at Always City, bar the Champions League, obviously. Is he not like the most capped goalkeeper in England's history or something like that? I mean,
75 caps, yeah.
I don't know if he's the most, but he's
Peter Shilton, I'm sure, has more.
That's a lot, but yeah.
David Seaman maybe as well. He's maybe about ninth on the list.
Just destroying tremendous scalp as well, which can't say that about a lot of people. So great example.
Head and shoulders above the rest.
Yes. Anyway, despite my making up facts here, I thought he was a very accomplished goalkeeper, and I was quite happy for him to stay. Mark's right. If we keep him domestically, he's not going to cost us a league title. He wouldn't be the reason we didn't win the league. If that was to happen, I wouldn't be blaming Joe Hart. I think he's more than a capable goalkeeper for domestic football. Do we want to see an upgrade? I think so. I would like to see an upgrade. I think it's a difficult position to attract a goalkeeper to come to, it seems, over the last few years. And that Croatian lad, I'm the same. I don't know enough about him to say that he's a massive upgrade. But he had a good World Cup, like you said. He is the Croatian number one. That is correct. Yes.
Mhm.
Somebody confirm that for me.
He's played for
He-
Croatia.
He's not going to. He's not going to be like. He's not from a nation where if he was to come to Scotland, that he would suddenly lose his place in a national side. Juranovic is a perfect example of that. So that wouldn't be a concern for him. I would like to see him come in. I'd like to see somebody come in that would maybe give Joe Hart a bit of a fright. Like Phil said in the comments, he's had nobody anywhere near him to make him be concerned about losing his position between the sticks. And I think complacency does set in when you know that nobody's touching it. I've got this nailed down. I could let 4 goals go past me and still be playing next week. He doesn't have the competition, and that's what he needs more than anything. So I think it is a position that we should be looking to strengthen. The fact that we gave Scott Bain another deal did concern me, though, that it maybe isn't a position that Rodgers is too fussed about, or the club in general, because I think he was obviously got a deal before Ange had even left the building. So yeah, I think majority of fans would also be looking at. They wouldn't be upset to see Joe Hart get some competition this season.
Yeah, I mean,
yes,
I think
I'm talking pish.
I think the reality is, Joe Hart wouldn't be even close to the Croatia's national team's first, World Cup squad, for example, that was in December. They finished third. I don't think he gets in that squad, let alone on the pitch. And I think, with England's choices of goalkeepers, which I don't think is I used this word the other day. Monty was laughing, funnily enough, Monty again. A plethora of great English goalkeepers right now, but again, Joe Hart's not even on the menu there. I think if we were looking at £9 million Croatian internationalists, I think that would be bringing competition for Joe Hart, Liam. I think that would be a very much a passing of the baton.
I think we have to remember, I think Joe Hart was brought in for a certain reason, and I think that was to give Ange credibility in that dressing room. And everything that he came in and he's done in that part of his job has been absolutely outstanding. I think that's why we're talking right now about Joe Hart in such glowing terms. I see that picture of him when he was walking off the field with a green flare. I remember posting that on Twitter, and I said, if you'd asked me 2 years ago, that would be the picture that I identify Joe Hart with, So, but I think when he came in, it was Ange could look and say to guys, look, that guy's famous. I remember seeing the interview with him and Siegrist was like, they were talking about in Europe, he goes, he's famous everywhere he goes. It's like, we forget how big a star Joe Hart was. But I think to have him in the dressing room, yeah, you have to sort of like grow old gracefully at this point. And I think somebody coming in to take that spot, give him a challenge. I mean, the Scotland boy looks a good keeper. I don't know what his price tag would be, but Angus
Gun,
yeah. That's a good shout. That's a great shout, by the way.
He looks a good keeper, and that would help us keep our Scottish players as well, which, that's going to be a European thing for us. We've not upgraded. We've lost Scottish players rather than, adding to it, So we're going to have to look for that for Europe as well. And so maybe that's something we should start looking at. And, as you said before, everybody plays it for the back now, and that boy looks like he's got some good feet, bravery. He's the right age. And maybe he's a Tim. Never know.
You never know indeed, mate. You never know indeed. I'm sure it would be spun that way. Anyway, I mean, Mark, that would lead us to what? A hat-trick of Scottish international signing this summer after KT, McTominay and Angus Gunn. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. Yeah, I think the goalkeeper debate will go on this summer until it's addressed. I'll be honest, I do actually kind of think, in my opinion, Brendan will identify the goalkeeper situation. Bear in mind, when he took over before, he was desperate to oust Craig Gordon at the time, who, let's be honest, was one of the more shining lights of that Ronnie Dylas couple of years. You thought, fucking hell, he's actually got back to his best form. He'd sort of muscled his way back into Scotland contention. I think he was number 2 for Scotland at that point. And for probably getting rotated in goals. Weird. Reminds me of Jim Leighton and Andy Gorham in the 90s. But I always wondered with when Rodgers came in, that was a position that he went, nah, fuck that, it's still not for me. And for whatever Craig Gordon lacked, with the ball at his feet wise that Mark was talking about earlier, you would have to suggest Joe Hart would fall into the same bracket. If you think Doris De Vries was an upgrade on Craig Gordon, you're going to think there's an upgrade out there for Joe Hart. I just think, personally, anyway. When the Tim comes in, though, we're talking about the Scottish signings, Mark. Kieran Tierney would be great. Fits 3 and 4 at the back. He absolutely does. I mean, he's a worldie of a footballer. Would be much healthier position in both the left back and the left centre back areas. I hope we go out to get him, even if it's only for a season-long loan, especially for Europe. Mark, it sounds fantasy football stuff, but we're conditioned to believe these things are fantasy football because of the examples that we've discussed before and the amount of times we've been down this road, as you say, of getting your hopes up in the summer. I do think there is legs in the potential of Kieran Tierney returning. I can't help but feel that. I think it's something that Brendan would definitely already have made it clear to the board is a person of interest. How far that means we ever get down the road of re-signing him is up for debate, of course. And by the way, just pure speculation it would be. Let's be honest, none of us have a fucking clue. I think, though, from Tierney's point of view, he would either lean towards a Champions League club in England, and if not that, I don't think he makes sideways steps to join West Ham's, etc. That you see McTominay linked with this week. I don't think that's in Tierney. I think he would then start going, do you know what? I want to go back up the road. And if that meant a loan and then a reduced transfer fee with a massive sell-on clause if he were to be sold again, who knows? I think once he did come back, though, if he does come back, when he comes back, and he will come back at some point, that's him for life again. Do you know what I mean? With regards to actually bringing him in, there is a lot of complications. Of course there is. Is that a situation you would agree with the theory that you were agreeing with at the top of the show, that if situations play out and he does get told by Arsenal he will be Zinchenko's backup again this season, and clubs like Newcastle don't actually make a bid, so he doesn't get that Champions League offer, and you get to that last couple of weeks of the August window, is that a move you could see Celtic then going, right, we'll put the foot down on that one now?
I think Celtic would, and I think Kieran Tierney would as well. I think whatever opinion they go to the guy and how he left Celtic, he's a Celtic man, you know what I mean? And that does sway a decision. If you get Celtic at heart, I mean, the manager has twice signed for Celtic, I feel, on emotional values rather than the financial gain. So why not players? But I did see the Arsenal fans last night, I think it was, totally praising Kieran Tierney for his performance. Was it beat Barcelona 5-3 or something? Was it that game? Similarly, he was outstanding, and they were saying that. In fact, I read Kieran Tierney said the other day there that I never knew this, that he was actually fit all season. He didn't have one injury at all last season. So that it's not very often you hear players coming out and saying that I was dropped because for A and B rather than my fitness. So there might be a wee bit of a relationship breakdown between him and the manager, because it seems to me that the Arsenal fans are wondering why he's been dropped all of a sudden. And
Arteta's a green bun. That's what it comes down to, Mark.
And don't forget, mate, this is the same guy who scored the winning goal to lose us the league with EBT in his back pocket, and still Celtic fans wanting him to win the league last season. But that's another reason, another story. I'm not getting into that. But no, I think, listen, if Celtic can make it happen, they will make it happen. I did say we've bought brand new big screens at Celtic Park, so they probably cost about $2 million. So why not give that to Kieran Tierney to bring in for a season on loan? Why not give him 50 grand a week wages and let Arsenal pay the rest? I think I've got a wee suspicion that Newcastle might be interested in him, because I did see at the start of the window that Newcastle were looking at him, and if they're serious about the Champions League, surely Kieran Tierney would fit into that mold, because he get Champions League experience. He played for a team, albeit not a lot last season, who just lost the league because of their own stupidness.
They'd have won that league if he'd stayed in that position.
I think so, David. I mean, he is. See, Kieran Tierney, he's going forward. Kieran Tierney is exceptional, but his defensive qualities are just so underrated. The guy is just an absolute out-and-out world-class player. And see if Celtic will ever get a world-class player or the chance to bring him back to the club, do it, because as much as I love Hatate and Kyogo, there's no one world class player in that Scottish league, not one, right? So see if we get a chance to bring a genuine world class player in like Kieran Tierney, break a bank. I don't care if it costs £3 million for one season. I'm off. I did say that I didn't want to see Greg Taylor's season being progression being derailed by bringing in Kieran Tierney for one season. But you know what? Fuck it. I'm all about Celtic now. You know what I mean? I don't care. See if your big signing this season is going to be Kieran Tierney. I'm all for it. Get the guy in, and who cares about financial costs, because Celtic could actually afford 110 grand a week. We could pay that for a season. Do you think £4 million is going to break Celtic's bank? We spend that on two daddies for the Dutch league and don't play them. You know what I mean? We do that habitually. Boyce mentioned Bio a while ago. He was £2.5 million, probably double that on wages. I mean, we wrote that off at that. We're trying to write off Abanayetti as a £10 million dud without even a blink of an eyelid. We make these decisions constantly. So why no? And why spend? If you got any money in the bank, forget new big screen TVs. We don't need them. If you want to spend that on new TVs, spend it on players' wages. Bring them in. I think there's more priorities than goalkeeping. For me, fullbacks, especially on the left-hand side, is one that I would look at, because I'm happy with Johnston, content with Ralston as backup. But I tell you something, I am not totally convinced we have got a defensive pairing, a defensive strengthening in the fullback area on the left-hand side, because Greg Taylor, love him to bits. Is he a European class? Maybe no. Bernaby, that guy looks like he's came from the inside of a Kinder Surprise egg. He's an utter dumpling. That's my opinion.
I think the thing is as well, I dumb down these conversations sometimes. I'm fucking sick to death, David, about our fans in particular. And this is because of the bold, by the way. Because what they've done is let a generation grow, mature from their teenage years to their early 20s into adulthood, being conditioned to view Celtic as if they're doing the accounts for the club, as if it's their money that's coming out their pocket. And this took loads of time. But now you're laughed out the room for having any sort of imagination, as Mark was talking about earlier. You're laughed out the room if anyone even suggests you could sign a player that costs more than what fucking Callum McGregor's on right now. Football is meant to be a romance. It's meant to be the things that your dreams are made of. It's meant to be your release from your working week. Ange put it pretty well in his time at the club, and I actually agreed with him wholeheartedly on that. This is your break for all this shit. So if my football club's got £75 million in the bank and could make the biggest summer transfer we have seen in fucking years and bring in one of our own home, did you know what? See to the window shuts. I'll fucking be hoping for it, pal. Do you know what I mean? And fuck anyone who wants to go, get that out of your head, get that out. What do you even support football for? This is meant to be a fun thing. It's meant to be something we're in love with, and it's meant to allow us to have big dreams. My dream this summer, just like it was Jordan Larson last year, this one's bigger though, would be KT rocking up at Celtic Park before that window shuts. And here's my also belief, not just a dream. I think Brendan Rodgers has him on a list of persons of interest.
I totally agree. I see a lot of comments online about we don't want to upset the dressing room that a top player gets brought in and gets paid top wages. That's going to upset the apple cart. Well, sorry, but now this is maybe a massive stretch of an example, but I don't think David Beckham was worried about some Diddy player at Inter Miami not getting paid the same as a Lionel Messi coming in and completely changing their luck in a league. They're now went for 10 games losing in a row to now absolutely destroying teams because they've brought in a player, a top player, and paid him he's now obviously the highest paid player probably in that league ever. I don't think the boys in the dressing room are upset that they're not getting paid the same as a Messi, because now they're winning games and probably going to end up romping that league. That shouldn't be a mindset of players, that a guy's come in who is a far superior player than you, coming from a superior league than you, is going to get paid superior wages to you. You know, that shouldn't be an issue for us as fans to give a shit about. I'm no bothered if Bernaby and Taylor get a bit upset that a Kieran Tierney, who has been quoted in the chat here as probably arguably a £50 million player, gets paid £50 million player wages from the club if they can afford it. We're not the managers of people's emotions and feelings in the club. We don't need to worry about that. We just need to worry about getting the best players that we can and afford to, and try and sign them and just enjoy that. Don't you worry about what's going on in the background of people getting a wee bit upset that some players getting paid a bit more. That player can worry about being a better player and then demand that kind of wages also. That's for them to worry about, not us as fans. So, yeah, we just need to just go for it. Just ask the question. If we can afford it, which we can, go for it. I don't see why not.
Yeah,
and look, this is the guy. And Tierney said that he would happily drop his wages to come back, allegedly.
We know he would. This is the mad thing as well. Folk think everyone goes about, oh, well, the Saudi money comes in. What if that's not on the table? If you get to the last 2 weeks of August and he has been getting the vibe off Arteta, he ain't getting a game. Trust me, there'll be one thing on his mind, first and foremost, and that would be return to Celtic. And then if another proposal is made that he has to consider, fair fucks. But trust me, his first choice in his mind, before any other opportunities arise, would be to come back to Celtic. I'm in no doubt in that. And I don't know why people seem to think we're the only ones who are fans. Like Kieran Tierney just stopped supporting Celtic all of a sudden. Get a grip, man. His favourite player of all time is Bobo Balde. You didn't get more of a Celtic fan than that if you think your hero growing up is Bobo Balde. Let's be real here. I just think sometimes, Liam, we need to take our fake suits off. We need to stop trying to be the accountants of the world. We need to stop looking at Celtic as a PLC and start becoming Celtic fans again and talking about what ifs, not we can't.
This is why we always get broken hearts, Boise. It's this emotional investment that we put into it, this romanticism that we build up around Celtic, that somehow everybody's playing for the jersey and all that. Well, a lot of them are just mercenaries. Kieran Tierney came out as a mercenary. He came out as a mercenary to me when he left and all the money and this and that. But I don't know, how much money do you need? And that's me being happy as fuck. I know that right now, but I don't know. I'd like to see him coming back. I think it would be imaginative with the club. It would be something that they know the fans would love it. And what's wrong with keeping your fans happy? What's wrong with developing a fan base? It's like everybody's engaged. Again, we're all in this together. We're all in. Okay, show us again. It's not just a marketing slogan, because it was there when Ange was thumping the jersey on the pitch and all that. So are we all in? Or are we all in? So this is a club to sort of stand by your marketing statement. If that's your mission statement for the year, prove it. And a great way of proving that would be spending the money and bringing somebody as box office as Kieran Tierney back to Scotland. And it just writes itself. And Scotland's going to be challenging for the Euros this year. He's a big part of that. It just lifts the profile of the entire league. He'll play in Europe. He'll be, he'll drive this team on. I can't be funny saying it's unfair and Greg Taylor and all that. It's not about being fair. Greg Taylor gets
You can wait to get that in.
He'll be off tomorrow. He'll be doing there with his pal Christie and all that. And he wouldn't even look back, I don't think. And so I don't think it's not fair for me having to watch Greg Taylor play every week. Put it that way. I've supported Celtic a lot longer than Greg Taylor has.
I love it. Anyway, it's not me trying to be a reckless fan either. I just think sometimes we took it so far to another extreme now, Mark, that you just can't have, some ambitious views, do you know what, that'd be amazing if it happened. You're shot down for even thinking it now. It's a think crime. We're in 1984 here. Anyway, we will move on because I know you will have views on this, Judge Kearney, and I am very intrigued to hear them. Phil McGinley comes in, our legend himself. He says, the Boise Bass ticket allocations, eh? Here we go again. Fuck it. I think Celtic's right. You've spoke about this before. That away end that Celtic are currently getting, away end. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's just ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? You're sitting there fucking in between the legs of these two stadiums, do you know what I mean? Which is just ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? Like in between the stands. That sounded wrong. Do you know what I mean? But you're sitting there and the stands like sort of looking down, able to throw their drink, their bottles of butt fast at you when you're at Ibrox, and we've only got that wee tiny corner. Whereas you're almost It's a total gang mentality move that they want, and it's because we broke them. Let's get it all out the way. This is all about sport because they know they have to do every single trick in their tiny wee stupid simpleton book that they possibly can to try and stop Celtic. And one of the ones they realised was that, what's it, the Broomloan Road end? Something like that. Any of the Celtic end, as we'll call it. That being packed, they don't like us celebrating. What they don't want to accept is Celtic's just been better. It is that simple. Judge Kearney Celtic have rejected the offer, apparently, according to reports today, of the 700 tickets. I'm all on board with that. Rangers, it seems, are insisting they do still get their allocation. I think even better. I think that then highlights the pettiness of all of this. I actually think you'd go, fucking take your 700 cent. Do you know what I mean? No bother. It shows you the Espanolification of that football club. It sums it up to a T. I say, we turn it down. We don't need it. We don't need 700 fans there to beat you bastards in your own park. And we will do it this year. Brendan's sitting there going, how many men do we get to play? Still get to play 11 players. I'll do it with 10, like, it's not a problem. Whereas, what do you want? Away fans at Celtic Park? No problem. We've offered you 7,500, by the way, could I just say? Not just 700. We offered you 7,500. You turned that down. I just think right now, they are beginning to look the petty wee fannies that they truly are.
But they don't give a flying fuck how they like boys here. They're that disgusting, mate, to be quite honest. You can't give people with no necks a red neck. They don't care, mate. You know what I mean? To be quite honest with you, I find it a wee bit hilarious that it was the fans who told the club they were not feeling safe to go to the stadium. These are the same ones who wear balaclavas and jump about the baseball bats like the hard men. Tell you what, why don't you let people like me who want to go? I'll go to the stadium. This isn't a new thing, getting flung bottles at you. It's been going on for 100 years. Anybody that's ever sat at Ibrox would tell you the coins come flying in. It's just happened. All right, it's became worse because it knew it's coming from both ends rather than just one end and the pole's just on there. But this is nothing new. Anybody that's sat near that corner flag in Broomloan will tell you the coins come flinging in. That is not a new thing at all. But anyway, I just see the 40 of them getting a crowd at Celtic Park and I was not getting one at them. That really does. And I get you. You're being the bigger person and saying, fuck you, we don't need it. But I don't like that. But I think, see Celtic Park, see the Rangers fans, they are like right behind that pillar and you can't see them. Even the Rangers players can't see them. See, it's the Celtic fans at Ibrox at that corner flag. That is visual. It's visual for the spectator on TV. It's visual for the players when they're taking corner kicks. When you're warming up, you've got some representation. And I'm in the minority who want to see Celtic fans at Ibrox, even if it is only 800 or 700. I want to see these boys. I think the Celtic players need that wee bit, need that encouragement. Don't forget, we're playing against 50,000 as it is, and a referee, 2 linesmen and VAR. We need some sort of representation for the players, you know what I mean? Johnny Hayes scoring that goal is quite iconic. For me, the celebration is quite iconic. You just see that away end, it's in the corner flag just going nuts. And it's on the one video, on the one camera angle, you know what I mean? And he knows where to run. He runs out of that fan base and celebrates Celtic beating the bastards, you know what I mean? And I think you need that. I know it's pretty. I know it's a very low capacity, but Celtic fans are happy. No, they're not happy, but they're content to take 700 and 1,000 at Tynecastle and at Pittodrie. So why we're so disgusted that the Zombies have done what they normally do, and that's do disgusting things. You know what I mean? Their directors, they don't just play to the gallery. I said this before. They are the gallery. They are vile. Okay, they're as I said before, they're born to hate. They learn how to hate before they learn how to love. You know what I mean? And Celtic are just the epitome of what they hate Celtic. They hate. As boys said, they're taught how to hate before they're taught how to love. And you know, Celtic just that flash of green that just makes them go crazy. You know what I mean? And I think our fans singing the Celtic song and somebody cheering us on with the huddle and just somebody. It's an intimidating place, Ibrox. I don't care what any Celtic fans say. Just know it's an intimidating place. Even the shape of it, and so we need something in there to let the Celtic players know we've got your backs here. We're with you. I mean, you score a goal. I mean, the last game there, Celtic Park when they had no fans. It's deadly silent. And do you know what? I used to love coming out of the Celtic Park and you see that big bit of blue because it reminded you why you were there. And you're like, this is their match. That sight of the Rangers fans just made you remember why you were there. And see the fact that the Rangers fans looked down that corner and being disgusted that we exist makes it all that better for me. And I think Celtic players deserve that. And I think if you look at the actual image of the Celtic fans in that corner, you can't take that away. When you go to when Celtic are shooting up any side of the pitch, you will see that'll be very much in the line of vision of that TV camera. So they're represented within the stadium, albeit in smaller numbers. But for me, I'm in the minority. I would take it because I think that me personally, the Celtic players need it. I think that's proven that there's not been a result by any club since that's been happening. There's been no fans and I put in the private chat. I think Liam's definitely try to put in as many song lyrics into this show as possible. We just get a bet on or something. There's a couple of ones he's done. You look at the back. I don't know what he's up to. He's got a wee bet with Alan Shearer or something. I don't know what he's doing here. He's taking a piss.
I don't know anything about this bet.
He's too many broke hearts.
David noticed it as well. I know. Liam, are you fitting in song titles and song lyrics into your quotes tonight?
Yeah, this is like MK Ultra stuff. Don't give it away.
He fucking is, Steve.
Panic stuff.
We didn't have them in it.
Well, we could do that all night. We could do that all night. Pick a band and next week we'll do it. We'll pick a band and everyone needs to guess what band it is that we're quoting. Right? We'll do that next week. Next T.N.F. Right? That'll be good fun, and the viewers can guess which band it is once they notice it. David, I get where Mark's coming from. I think he's spot on in terms of the visuals and things like that. But also, what I would say based on what Mark said in the past about this is ultimately you would rather it was the 7,500 each or whatever it is, right? And I think Celtic's trying to actually force the hand to get that right now. And they're trying to go down now the all or nothing approach. That's what they're trying to do. I don't think Celtic want it to be either. I don't think anyone does want it to be no fans there. But what they're saying is the longer we let this just fester away at fucking the 700 allocation, we're not getting any movement into where we actually want to take this discussion, and that will be to get the full allocation back. So Celtic deciding to go and play a stronger hand, right, than what they normally do with this. And they're basically saying it's all or nothing for us. And we've made our position clear. We've offered you the opportunity to have that 10% of the stadium, whatever it's 12%, sounds stupid like that. We want that back. And if not, we're not going to play ball anymore. And I know the safety of the fans thing. I kind of agree with Mark. I think it's maybe a wee bit exaggerated. I don't know. But that's the line they're going to do. That's just a party political line that they've got to say for the reasoning behind it in public. But really what they're trying to do here, David, is force a shift and get it to what the Celtic ultimately want. And that will be back to what it was for years and years and years, making it one of the best spectacles in world football, undeniably, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's one of the main things is as a spectacle and an advertisement for our game, we've watered it down. Well, they've watered it down massively. And it's hard to add anything on that Mark said because I guess I'm also one of the minority as well, Mark. If that's the case, I totally agree with you. I would rather see fans there, even if it is the 800. There was a good point made in the chat that was kind of said that maybe Celtic take it out of the fans that actually go to that game, that fixture. They're getting that taken out of their own hands, and they're not really getting much of a say in it. Maybe Celtic should speak to the guys that generally go to that fixture and say, like, what is your view on it? Would you rather go or not at all? Maybe that's something that should be looked at. I can also see why what you're saying, boys, in terms of Celtic are probably playing hardball here. Like, they do want, if this is the best way of getting the 7,500 fans back, we will just play hardball until it gets to the point where Rangers have, they've realised that there was also a point made that they're actually
there's an element,
money.
David, as well, where we're making them look kind of petty, And I think that's one of the other arguments behind it. I think Celtic are now going, she came up, we're just going to make you look stupid now. Do you know what I mean? That's another play to get what they want. Do you know what I mean?
What gets my goat though is, so obviously I've got a lot of Rangers supporting fans that come into the shop, and it's like they've been brainwashed to believe that it is all to do with the fact, it's unfair that we've got all these season ticket holders wanting to get the seats and that. I'm like, yeah, but mate, you don't get that seat in the European games. So that argument's totally void. Like but you're quite happy to give Copenhagen and some other and who are they getting this season in the qualifiers? You'll give up that seat to the Genk support. So again, as you say, it does make them look petty. It's like, but you won't do it for the. Why don't you even give us the European allocation if that's the case? Then, if you're happy to give up your European allocation to European sides,
David, just quickly, mate. Sorry, Rangers can't sell just season tickets. You've got to keep a proportion of your stadium open to general match day tickets. So that's the ones that Celtic would get. So that argument that they're selling season tickets for that section is just debunked. You can only sell.
Yeah.
Like it's sell 53,000. So we've got to have 7,000 seats available for away fans and general sale. It's part of the rules. That's what that is. Celtic could buy tickets. It's just an excuse, mate. It's lies.
Yeah, so the bare minimum that Rangers can offer. The bare minimum that Rangers can offer, David, is the 725, whatever it is that they offer Celtic. That is like them playing by the rules to the absolute bare minimum. But you're right, you can only still sell season ticket wise. I think I don't know the exact percentage, but it's something like 91%, something like that. I think season tickets, something stupid like that. And I don't know why I started talking like James McCarthy there.
But I also believe like
games,
a couple of games here and there,
I don't know why I started doing that.
It's the Brendan effect. They will be talking like that soon enough. But no, I do. I would prefer we had some sort of support in it, because Mark's right. We do need it. The players need it. They need the support when you're in the Lions Den, even though there's no real Lions there, is there? We need them. We need the fans in there to give the boys the support. Otherwise, it's going to get to that point, because we've seen it. We've seen it already last season. It was a case of, well, we'll win at home and then they'll win at home. It wasn't like a real. Well, we've. The fans being there didn't really affect the game at all. I think it certainly does. And I don't want to be a case of just right, we'll write off the 3 points there because they will definitely beat us there because we don't have any support. I don't want that team creep into my mind. Like, obviously, home games are always going to be an advantage to the home team, but like you said, like beating your biggest rivals in their home ground in front of their fans, when you're in the stadium too, to lap it all up, that's the best feeling in the world, and that's getting taken away from the game. And not to mention as a spectacle at home as well. We're trying to sell. Let's Viaplay now pulling out of the Scottish game, and you might start to wonder if it's a case of, well, we're not really getting what was advertised in the first place. We were getting advertised the best rivalry and fixture in world football, and we're not getting that. We're getting the diet version, and that could be a reason why they wanted to pull out, for all we know. And
well, I don't know. They seem to predict they seem to make sure they get their last 4 appearances at Hampden 50-50 split every time, and that's the thing that blows the argument at the bottom. In the cups, it's 50-50, not even fucking 90-10 or whatever the percentage is we're looking for right now. It's just fucking nonsense. I think the Viaplay one is just because, I don't know, whatever it is they've invested. Just again, that's why I always will go back to the argument I make that it's better the devil you know with TV revenue, and sadly.
There you go. Another song lyric. He's at it. He's at it.
Oh dear.
I wish I was at it. I wish I was. I love this. Liam, I'm going to move on because we are over an hour already. Markings are good. I actually hadn't picked up on the fact he was saying song lyrics till you pointed out privately. Here is another talking point, though, Liam, that we can discuss. And it comes to Lisa Hughes. Lisa thinks we should be trying to cherry pick the best Scottish players before they move to the EPL, or as we've seen quite regularly of late, Serie A showing quite a lot of interest. We even had it ourselves, with Stephen Welsh being subject of a bid from Udinese. We've seen the likes of Doig go over there, Lewis Ferguson, Aaron Hickey. Should or will that change? I always held the opinion Ange didn't really rate Scottish football. I was quite vocal on that throughout. I went, he's never even considered anyone from our league. The only one he did bring in was a number 2 goalkeeper for Dundee United, because it was affordable and he wasn't going to play him once he started drinking rum anyway in Paris when he should have been recuperating, no matter how hot his wife is. I think when it comes down to it, Brendan will probably take a closer look than Ange will in the crop of talent around us, because once you actually look at what these guys have done when they have left us, I'll give you a brilliant example. One from our own, that Doak, who's went to Liverpool, he's went for someone that couldn't get near our first team squad. I think he got maybe 2 or 3 appearances for the bench under Ange, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. He's pushed the barrier right through it at Liverpool and ended up being in first team consideration within 12 months.
Right.
And I think to do that at a club with that array of talent tells you maybe homegrown players, there will be the odd one. And of course, we'll need it for European football as well, which people are quick to remind us when we look at chasing out the likes of David Turnbull's and Stephen Welsh's. You need that quota. He's playing musical chairs again now. He's at it tonight,
So listen, there's no a lot that jumped out right away, but you know, one player that impressed me last year was the team that took points off us twice with St Mirren. And the centre-back at St Mirren, Mark O'Hara, he just re-signed with them a new long-term contract and came on as a captain. He's still a young boy. He's Scottish. He's got physicality. He's looked good against us. And they're the only team that put a mark on us really last year, you know, when it counted. And I would have a look at him. I'd like to see what Brendan Rodgers could do with a boy like that. He looks good. I don't know who we've got coming through other than Rocco Vata. You know, I've seen some of the other boys, but they've seemed to have disappeared. You know, your Montgomerys and all that, they've just fell off. But maybe that's what Rodgers is waiting as well. He's waiting to see who we've got. He's having a look maybe to see who's in Scotland as well. And maybe, you know, throw it and see we can help there. Like if Starfield left, you know, O'Hara wouldn't be a bad shout. I mean, no to replace him. But if somebody else, like more to replace Welsh or Kobayashi or that, you know, somebody that's going to work their way into the team, somebody that's going to challenge. But I think he'd be a good shout.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, Mark, do you think that there's something there with Scottish talent? Do you actually think when you look at the Aaron Hickey, you know, I think he was a year or 18 months in Italy and he went on for 15 million quid to Brentford. You look at Lewis Ferguson, who's been linked with moves to Juventus, believe it or not, over the summer. Such has been the impact he eventually made at Bologna, particularly in the second half of last season. That's the honest truth, because they were speaking about an open goal that, like with Derek Ferguson saying, it's true, there's a few big clubs, because obviously they were trying to push him to say Juventus, but they said it. He didn't obviously confirm that, but he said there is definitely interest in him. This was about 2 months ago. He's made a massive impact over there. You look at that the Doak, is it Ben Doak? That's his name, isn't it? Ben Doak. I mean, for him to be anywhere near the Liverpool first team, having not been near ours within 18 months or 12 months, whatever it is unbelievable as well. I think Brendan will be going fucking once McGinn's, you know, twice as shy. I can assure you, if there's a player on these shows that is the best, is that an approach you'd like to see Celtic readopt? Because it is going to be crucial for the Champions League sort of situ as well, where you need to have X amount of homegrown players or Scottish players in the pool that you actually submit to qualify for the competition. I also just think Brendan will want to work with Scotland's best young talent as well. I wonder if that'll be something over the next 12 months we will see Celtic reverting back to.
Well, I think it's a win-win. If you buy a Scottish player, the good thing about buying Scottish players is that the markets who tend to come in and take them away from Celtic, they're too arrogant to rate Scottish players highly, so they tend not to come in with the big bucks, and we tend to get a longer period of their development and see the best of them. John McGinn's a perfect example. I mean, he could have went to Celtic, then eventually Aston Villa took him on and he's went from strength to strength. The boy Hickey, I think you mentioned, for Hearts, Celtic tried to buy him again and I think he ended up got to Bologna. They tried to buy him again. So Celtic are definitely looking at Scottish talent, not just because it ticks a box, but it's a win-win situation for Celtic. All right, I suppose risk and reward for Celtic is it's a small risk for probably a smaller reward financially, because I don't think you get the same transfer fees.
Mark,
But yeah,
I want to ask you this: Are we guilty of being more drawn to a foreign name of a player around that £2-3 million mark than what we would be a Scottish one? The Scottish ones always come with that underwhelming feeling where, really, when you look back at the history of Celtic, it's been laced with players that we've signed from within our league that have went on and way beyond the expectations you would expect.
oh, definitely. I mean, look at like say John Collins, etc. The list goes way back, but one of my
First
favourite
name on my
players.
mind. That was the first name on my mind.
Definitely. I think one of Celtic's biggest problem is there's been too many £2 million players for Holland, and Holland's probably a bad example, but you know what I'm talking about. Too many foreign players for £2-3 million rather than going for the class acts. It's because there've been a lot of big players that's left Scotland the last 20 years out in England and made a good career for themselves, who were well within Celtic's price range, and Celtic just overlooked them because it's not a sexy name for the Celtic fans. I don't think Celtic are easy to deal with. I don't know. Celtic don't find themselves easy to get a good deal within Scotland. I mean, there's a Celtic tax within boardrooms or Scottish football. As soon as Celtic want a player, I think that the chairmans tend to kind of drag their heels rather than selling them for maybe a bit less money to England. I don't know what that's about. I don't know what the reason is behind that. You could speculate all you want, but I think the Celtic fans, they want to see a £4 million player that they can't pronounce than a £4 million player for Hibs.
Totally agree.
And I know Scott Brown's an example. I just mentioned Hibs there, but and you know what? I think we're all conditioned because we're told that Scottish football is shite and Scottish players are shite. But I think Celtic. Scotland's hit a wee purple patch the last maybe 7-8 years with talent.
Agreed.
I mean, I think probably two of the best fullbacks in English football are Scottish. You've got guys playing in Italy, Serie A, excelling. You know what I mean? Even Jack Henry, who couldn't get a game for us. I mean, he's probably on 200 grand a week in Saudi Arabia now. You know what I mean? There's talent all over the place. I think there's probably been David Marshall made a good career for himself. I mean, Craig Gordon, you mentioned. See, the last maybe 6, 7, 8, 10 years, there's been a lot of good football players came from Scottish football and helped himself in Scotland and England. There's always more Scottish players do better in England than there is English players doing good in Scotland. That's a fact. And there's also a lot more Scottish players. There was I think it was one point maybe 4 or 5 years ago that Scottish football had more players in the Champions League than England did. I think it might have been when like your Chelsea's and your Man U's were getting to the last 18 or last 16s that there was more Scottish players because England's just full of foreign players. You know what I mean? So I think there is talent out there, but I think the holds Celtic back is they're hard to deal with in Scottish football. I don't think we get a good rub of the green, and also I think fans want a funny name they can't pronounce, as I said there. And it's even boys like even if you're talking about a class act manager coming from Dunfermline, you know what I mean? No Dunfermline, I don't know, a Hearts or Hibs, you'd rather choose a guy coming from the English Championship, wouldn't you? You just would.
I agree with you, pal. I think, again, we're talking about that conditioning thing, and I think that's another one of them. David, signing for Scotland, there was that much harm. Even in recent history, I remember the likes of Scott McDonald scoring against Man United's, Milan's. I mean, you look at the impact Callum McGregor, I mean, he's obviously a youth product, but I mean, he would walk into, I think, most sides in the UK, and I'm not exaggerating there. I think, for example, were he not to have signed that new deal, do you think Ange wouldn't have been considering getting a Callum McGregor in his midfield? Everyone seems to focus on the attacky thing. It's like Ange only knows Japanese players. Brendan tried to get into Leicester the second he went there as well, of course. There's plenty of talent within our ranks. Obviously, I've given the Serie A examples as well. It's something I think we shouldn't ever be arrogant towards. That's the right word. Arrogant, I think, or ignorant, maybe is even better. I don't know what it was. Ange definitely, I think, had made his mind up. I know that I won't look in the Scottish market, so don't even consider it. I wonder if Brendan will be different.
Yeah, I think so. I think Mark's made a good point about it being like the whole Celtic tax in the boardroom sort of thing. Like, I think that's probably one of the bigger reasons why we tend to stay clear of the young Scottish talent now is because we know that the likes of Hibs and that they will go well at Celtic. So we want 6 million but we'll just sell them to Millwall for 2. And I think, and that's fact. I mean, look at like Kevin Nisbet there went down in his debut game for Millwall and banged a hat-trick in the first half or something. And now it's like, well, because he's now doing it in a championship side. And Ryan Porteous is another example. A lot of people would kind of raise an eyebrow at the thought of a Ryan Porteous. He goes down to the championship and he's considered one of the best players in that Watford side now for some reason. Now, that's my Alexa kicking off at me there. Probably for bringing up Ryan Porteous. But now, because he's doing well for Watford, it becomes a much more attractive. Oh, maybe we should get Ryan Porteous. He's done well at Watford, but now he's done well at Watford. He becomes out of our price bracket almost. So it's a bit of a catch-22. You either wait to see if he gets on a more competitive league, and if he does all right, then we can't afford them. So it's a bit of a gamble, but I think it's a gamble that Celtic should start maybe, paying into more. Like, take the chance on one of the most standout players that are in the league. Look, if the Italian sides are going, well, that boy looks like he'll do us a decent job for 2 seasons and we'll punt him to Juventus for a profit, then why are we not looking at them? What are they seeing that we're not seeing? Is the league more suitable for them? It's certainly more attractive. Everything that comes with Italian football is more attractive than playing in the Scottish league. But what we can offer these guys are, you can win the league that you've made a name for yourself in. You can be playing Champions League football, but with a team in a league that you've made your name in. But now we're trying to fight off, lower league Italian sides because they're willing to take the punt on a £3 million player from Scotland or £4 million, but we're not willing to. It is quite bizarre. Now you're right. Ange didn't see. I don't think he was willing to look though. I don't think Ange was really that fussed for looking because Ange has his system. And he wants players that will fit his system. He's not willing to look at a player that go, well, he doesn't particularly fit my system right now. So I'm not willing to pay the $3 million for that centre half or that left back. I'd rather go for the Japanese centre back who's not really going to cut it, but he's left-sided and he can pass the ball. But he's not very strong and he's not very physical and he's quite intimidated by the league that he's moved to. I think Brendan Rodgers is the kind of manager that's willing to take a player on that's maybe not quite ready for his system, but he's the kind of coach that can mould and turn a player into what is suitable for the way he wants to play football and adapt to the way that he wants to play football.
I think that's absolutely fair. We'll move on very quickly. I know we've been an hour and 20, but there's 300 of you on the bus tonight. In fact, it was way beyond 300 earlier. We're obviously talking about Scottish players, as Mark says. Nobody cares, mate. See you later. That's about 25 folk left since we started talking about Scottish players. But yes, we are hovering around 300 right now live. Remember, hit the like, hit the share, slag the hair. Liam, last talking point that comes in from the forum, the T.N.F forum talking point. Do you think that we will sell another player for big money, a 10 million plus player? Liam, I'm going to ask you to answer that question and also for a name if the answer is yes.
Matt O'Reilly, because it's the sort of thing we would do right now. I think he's the one that's got the most potential value for an English club to come in. I know he likes it at Celtic, but I think he's the one we could cash in right now. We seem to be overloaded with midfielders. We get no problem scouting, buying, bringing in midfielders.
So do you think we will, though, firstly?
I don't have enough trying to anticipate what Celtic might do in that. Do I feel they might? Aye. You never know, right? It depends on the next signing. If the next signing's another name in a midfield and hopefully somebody with a European pedigree, I'd like to see somebody that's played a significant amount of games in Europe come in. If we get somebody like that, then I definitely see somebody like a Matt O'Reilly making way. Because they'll not get rid of Awata, I don't think, at this point. But O'Reilly never got his contract renewed. And he's been there maybe same time as Maeda, or even less.
Yeah, same month there, right?
Same month, right? So, yeah, that's who I wouldn't want to see him go, but I think he's the one that's got the biggest opportunity for us to sell on right now. And for also, it'd be good for his career as well. I'm sure he wants to play in the Premier League,
So you do think we will sell, and if you were to pick one, it would be Matt O'Reilly. Is that what I'm taking from your answer there, Punk Duck Warlord?
Matt O'Reilly.
Right, okay, Liam has spoken. He does think Judge, we will sell another player for plus 10 million. This is whilst we all shit ourselves that Celtic might sign a player for 7.7 million in the form of Livakovic or whatever. But apparently, we might sell another one for over 10 million. Do you envisage that happening? And if you do, Judge Kearney, I think we all know the answer for you. Who'll it be? I'm intrigued by it. I've got a feeling who you're going to say is going to be a tatty, but surprise me, mate. Let me know who you think, because I know the answer is going to be yes. That is a fact. You're definitely going to say yes.
Aye, I tell you. I do think that I think he's been flashing his fanny at anybody, mate. I think he's already said that he wants to maybe progress. And do you know something? I wouldn't grudge him it, because I just think he's a guy just is a total different kettle of fish. He's unbelievable. He's guys one of the best midfield players I've seen at Celtic in years. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't grudge him it. But do you know? It wouldn't surprise me if he's the one that goes. But do you know, Liam makes a good point. I think Matt O'Reilly could be sold tomorrow for 10 million, and I don't think he impacts the squad. I don't think that would be a major dent in Celtic's squad. I think they would consider that. Celtic and Brendan Rodgers would probably think to themselves, Hatate gone, that would be a major kick in the balls. O'Reilly, no so much. I think they might play hardball with Hatate, but I think Matt O'Reilly, I think he would go with the best wishes of the fans, because we've probably saw him peak and then fall back off the cliff again, then peak again. I think we've saw what he can give. I think he's better off in English football. I wouldn't be totally disappointed if he moved on, Boise, but I would brace myself, because if there's no squad looking at Hatate, there's something wrong with folk, mate, because that guy is just a class act. I just hope that he wants to give it another season, that's all.
Yeah, no, I agree with that as well. On the O'Reilly one, I mean, well, firstly, Hatate, I mean, it would be a kick in the balls. I prefer my balls being tickled, Mark, to them being kicked. Do you know what I mean? I didn't like getting my balls kicked. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather be getting tickled every day of the week, mate. When it comes to O'Reilly, I think we need to be honest. I think he probably was the one that was looking to go this summer, or maybe one eye on the exit door, not because he's not enjoying it at Celtic, maybe just felt that last season didn't go quite the way he'd panned out, and maybe I know a new challenge might arrive. I've got a feeling that he's actually changed his mindset. I think O'Reilly's now been told by Rodgers, you will play, and I'm going to make you fucking better, and I'm going to sit with you at lunch and share your chicken nuggets, son. Do you know what I mean? And it'll be all good. I've got a feeling it'll be O'Reilly will stay. I think the Hatate one would be my worry. Do I think Celtic will sell another player for over £10 million? Potentially, yes. I don't really see much point if it's a first team player now to be letting anyone go for. I don't see any value in letting a first teamer now leave for anything other than 8 figures, because we're trying to build something here now, and we've got in that one sale a summer sort of thing with Jota. We got the 25 million, we got the Champions League guaranteed. It's now over the odds money I expect for it to be a first teamer. I think we're now in the phase, and I've said this before, David, I think we're in the phase now of trimming the squad, and it'll be Urigidis that have just left, the likes of that, trying to work out something for a James McCarthy, David Turnbull maybe having harsh conversations with, do you know what I mean, or brutal conversations with, whatever you want to describe it, Stephen Welsh's of the world, maybe even a Bernabe to go as well. I know it's only been a year and you're getting all this adaptation period, but if he looks like a duck, smells like a duck, sounds like a duck, he's a fucking duck. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's just what ends up happening. David, do you think we will sell another player for that sort of nice price of over 10 million quid this summer, or have we had the fatal blow, you could say, of a Jota leaving?
I'm going to say that we won't sell another player over 10 million. I think the players that will get us that £10 million price tag, I think Rodgers is going to do his little magic spell and convince them to stay, because I think he's already started doing that. Abada seems to be quite keen to stay now. O'Reilly, he's made it quite clear that he seems quite keen to stay. Yes, Hatate's got. I think we could take what Hatate says with. I'm not going to say lost in translation, because that he can. I'm thinking his English is actually not too bad now.
He's got an agent who'll definitely speak English. So anything that comes through these guys' voice, mouths, they know what they're doing, eh? Like,
I
trust
think
me on
they're
that.
not going to. These guys are ambitious, and that's all he said. I have ambitions to play in the Premier League, and good. You should have ambitions to hit the top. I don't want a player that doesn't want to. That's at Celtic that has no ambitions to be the best possible player that he can be. And if he thinks that's where he's destined to play, and he's good enough to play there, then I'm all for it. But he'll go when Celtic feel the time's right, and if the and it'll have to be silly money to sell him. I don't think Rodgers is going to be happy to see Hatate leave. I mean, he's been watching Celtic from afar. He said how much he enjoys watching and admires the way Hatate plays. You tell me he doesn't want to at least get a year out of him before we decide whether we're going to move him on.
That's the comment of the night. Colvo, our resident Newcastle United fan, comes in. He says, if it smells like a Yeti, walks like a Yeti, it's a Yeti. That's brilliant.
That's class. No, I think it'll be more trimming down. I think because we've got a lot of new midfielders have come in. I mean, here, who knows? We might sell that Kwon before the first game of the season because he's that good, and he'll be the best player we've ever signed, and he's offered millions because that's what he seems to think. So
did you see the papers today? The papers they asked Harold Bratback what they thought of Yang's comments about why to be the best player in the squad and move on, and it was Kwon that said that. And I thought to myself, I know. Do you know, mate? He must have had a layover in Glasgow because he's a pilot now. So I don't even know why he's answering questions, but I thought to myself, surely the papers know what they've asked about the wrong fucking guy. They put a picture of Yang on, well, Yang and Kwon. To be honest with you, I don't understand why the press can get it wrong, right? But I can see why Bratback could get it wrong. He's probably not got his finger on the pulse.
Yeah, he's not going to have his finger on the pulse.
But the press know he never said that. It was Kwon. I read it today and I went, I'm fucking sure that was Kwon. And then David just said that there and I went, he's spot on. I mean, because I made the point straight away. I think it was on the group chat. I went, for somebody playing the second division, he's off a cocky. Now, can I just say,
I agreed with you, by the way, on that. I didn't like that either, Mark.
Oh, and boys, say you agree with this. I want him to believe that, but I don't want him to say it. I want him to have the mindset. I want the motive of that belief.
Mark, remember when Giacomakis said it in the press conference that we're the best team? Well, he'd played for a while and shown, and we were doing the business on the park where he could merit having that confidence. Massive difference. This guy's not even off the plane yet, and he's saying that he's going to be the best player at Celtic.
It's very individualistic as well. It's very individualistic, that sort of thing as well, when you're going, here's my career trajectory, I'll be the best player in your shite TV country, and I'll get my move to England. That's how it came over. I know I'm paraphrasing to say the least.
It's the whole going back to we didn't want to pay these guys because it might upset the dressing room. No, but people's comments saying I'm not even in the dressing room and I'm better than all you and I'm going to be better than all you. That's what upsets other players in the dressing room, and not a great start for him because right away he's got a target on his back. Going, all right, man, let's see what you've got then. Right away,
I agree.
He's good. You've got to be saying, see if he's good. We're going to be sitting in December saying we're going to be doing a pod saying the very first offer for a Swansea City and he's away. Well, that's the part we're going out with. If he turns out to be so good, you can't play him. You're going to be saying.
Here's the other one, Mark.
You're going to enjoy this thing because he's away.
I like that, by the way. And Liam, here's my other takeaway. See when someone comes in with the Billy Big Boss statements like that their eye's already on the fucking exit door, and they're going to be see once he does have a game where he's lost a 50-50, we're going to think he's jumped, he's dodged the tackle. See when he pulls up injured against fucking Ross County at home because he's got international duty the next week, we're going to question it differently. We're not going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Why create that own road for your back, Liam? Please try and... I like, bravado. I like the rock and roll attitude. But this is just misplaced, was it not? Those sort of quotes that was coming for Con?
It's not very punk rock, is it? I mean, it's more like the establishment type thing. I'm going to be the best player. I'm going to be that. I think that's just immaturity. I think he's a young lad. That's where the agent needs to put an arm around his shoulder. Somebody like Brendan or Callum McGregor, one of the older boys in the team, and just like, that's not the way we play it up here. I know you're excited.
Right, guys, I'm sorry to interrupt. I need to go. I'll speak to you later. Take care. See you later.
Cheers, David.
It's excitement.
Sorry, boys.
person's excitement talking, and he's just wanting to say something. He doesn't know what the fan base is like yet, and that. And it's just young and it's inexperienced, and I'll not be judging him on any of that. I'll wait to see how he plays and all that. If he keeps coming out with it, I get him to.
Can it influence though the judgment though, William? When you then get your first impression, can it influence it? Can it lead you to start going, is this hard in this? I think it just creates a level of doubt when things aren't going his way for us to look at it more cynically. And I don't think you want to be doing that at a club like Celtic, particularly when your career backdrop, as Mark says, ain't exactly fucking above Glasgow Celtic. What are we talking about here?
But this is how our cult heroes are born. They come out with big statements.
True.
I'm here to put Rangers in their place, or whatever it was misquoted as saying. But you know what? That's the sort of callousness that we all cry out for. And then when we've got somebody that comes in and says that, and remember, it's no first language, but even him coming out with that sort of brashness and all that, I want that in my player. I want to see it.
Did it smell like team spirit?
What's that?
Did it smell like team spirit?
Aye.
No, I mean, I think it's great that you think that. I'm all for that. I want even your youth players to think this is a stepping stone, but you don't fucking say it, because, as Boyce says, if you pull up against Ray
I'm not your stepping stone, Matt.
You got no. I must have another song. There's something going on here. And even he mentioned Lucy there. I'm sure that's a song I know, Lucy in the Sky. I don't know, I might be fucking wrong, I know here. Aye, and do you know, I think it just puts that down, because if he's playing good, you're thinking, what's he saying there? Oh God. See, this is definitely something I've not been tuned.
I don't know anything about it, mate. I think you might be right that Liam's just dropping song titles in. He's got his wee side bits, mate. Do you know what I mean? Liam's been offered a round of Jaeger bombs at the Vancouver Supporters Club at the weekend, if he can get as many song titles in his next pod appearance as he can. I know how that rock and roller works.
You go to a pod life at that pub, Liam. You go to the pub one morning and get so we can see inside it. Actually,
I would love that. We should just go over, Mark.
We should go over. We'll get one of our sponsors to pay for it, mate. I mean, we sold
those 12.5% discounts are tallying up, son.
I know, mate. How many Viagra's have we sold? Come on. What we could do is we could charge for Discord and give you a wee pin badge.
Good idea, mate. Good idea. And we'll just start ripping into everyone left, right, centre. Get our £9 a month, and that'll be that. We will see what happens at Old Crumbs indeed. Anyway, on that note, we will leave it. It has been a brilliant pod. We went way over time. We're an hour and 33 minutes, and there's over 300 people live on this Boise bus right now. So a big thank you for that. If you've not hit the like button, please do. Please subscribe as well, because we're only about 20 away from the 4K. We promised we would get there before the new season starts.
Before you go, I've said a lot of stuff in this podcast, but regrets, I've had a few.
T.N.F.
Don't you forget about me. You go dream, and we're back alive and kicking, baby.
Simple minds think alike. Anyway, we will leave it there. Next at T.N.F. though, get your thinking caps on, because we'll all be in cahoots next week. It will be the judge. Liam, you're coming on next Thursday as well, because you started off this game that we didn't even know about. And the three of us definitely will agree on a band, and we will do song quotes or lyrics or song titles from them throughout the show. And the first one to get it, do you know what I'm going to do? For the first time for the new season, I'll send you a kebab. This has been the T.N.F. Good night, everyone.
That was fun.